Hey guys, I've been wanting to do this kill moss out of your lawn video for a while, and the product that I'm going to be using today, it's a granular by Lilly Miller. I don't believe if that manufacturer also makes fertilizers, but I don't really see them anywhere in the stores or really online. The only product that I've seen from Lilly Miller is this Moss Out product that I'll show you. Um, It's really a granular iron product, and this ferrous sulfate is what it's comprised of. And when you lay this stuff down like a fertilizer with your broadcast spreader, um, first of all, the lawn has to be moist, or at least the moss. You have to wet it first. You don't have to douse the lawn and just totally soak the lawn, but you want to get it a nice wet surface on the moss. And as you can see behind me here, I don't know if that shows up or not, but this is an area of my lawn that has been kind of neglected for a long time. And up until recently, we've had nothing but shade back here. Up above me, these trees have been thinned out. We had the power company come by last year and really chop down a lot of limbs and stuff. So it's really opened this area up. So I think that I can get this kind of moss infested area back here. Hopefully I can kill the moss and rake it out of here and then get the grass to eventually fill in. Because before these limbs were cleared, it was just kind of a damp, shady area, which is what promotes the moss to grow in the first place. If you've got a really shaded area that stays wet after a rain shower for several days, moss is going to be prone to grow there. So I'm hoping that once I get this moss out of here, that you can give the lawn an opportunity to take over. This is the perfect time of year to apply this because it's May 15th. We have, in my area, I'm in Alabama, I'm going to have a good 5 months of growing left for the year. So hopefully killing it now and getting it out of here can give that grass the best opportunity to fill in those areas. And it would just look a whole lot better back here. And see all these thin areas back here, these are just moss infested. And without killing it and raking it out, the grass is not going to be it's not going to be attracted to those areas and fill in. So we want the stolons of the centipede, have centipede grass. We want those stolons to want to spread into the bare areas. So let's get this moss out of here. I want to show you kind of how to do it, how to apply it, and what you can expect to see. Okay guys, so take a look at this area. There's the rest of my lawn there, the centipede grass, which gets, as you can see, it's about 1 o'clock right now, but this area in here is shaded now, but it does get sun for probably from about 8:30 in the morning till 1 p.m. or something like that. As you can see, I've got the shade is creeping in because the sun is now going back over these trees, but that's why I think I can get this area to fill in a lot better now. It used to be totally shaded, but as you can see here, it's kind of weed infested, and I've got a ton of moss right in these areas that it's just taken over this area. And you can see some centipede every now and then, but it's not going to grow in when the moss is just totally covering the soil here, and the stolons have nowhere to go. So I'm thinking by killing this off, and by the way, it turns black when the moss is actually dead, and it should be a pretty quick response as long as the moss is wet, and then you apply the granules. But here's a little knob right here that's got a ton of moss as well. So you can see the centipede kind of interspersed in between. So I'm hoping once it turns black, you kind of just rake it out with a hand rake, and then just give the grass the best opportunity to fill in those areas. This is another little nook of my yard that gets a lot of shade, and that's the reason why the moss is kind of taken over in some of these spots. But like I said, it does get a decent amount of sun, usually about midday. So that's why some of these areas do have grass in them. But as you can see over here, it's just totally taken over with moss. And I don't think this area has much chance of success just because it is it's root infested. So the grass, usually the roots are always going to win versus grass. And it's this big giant tree right here behind us. And the roots just feed into the area over here. And the grass never really has a chance to take over, but I'm going to try at least, and at least I'll get the moss out of here and give this, as you can see, this part right here gets a good bit of sun, so maybe I can get this part of the yard to fill in. That'd be nice. So I've got just several areas like this in the yard, and I figured I could go ahead and just try this right now because it's the best time of year to do it. Give the grass plenty of opportunity to fill in over the course of the season. And I've got another area up here that is totally moss. I think I can get that to fill in with grass too. But we'll see. By the way, this Lilly Miller Moss Out is really good just as an iron supplement too to your yard. If you want to kill two birds with one stone, you're applying iron, which your grass is going to get a very green response to in a matter of like 3 to 5 days. You will see that green response without the growth of nitrogen just surging into the roots of the grass. So that's a good benefit. I mean, if I figure for those of you who don't actually apply like liquid micronutrients and iron, this is a good way to get iron in your lawn, as well as try to get rid of any moss that's there. So this bag is pretty cheap. I mean, I think I got it on Walmart.com for $18. So, and it covers 5,000 square feet. So that's a good, what I'm going to do is just apply it to the areas that do have moss. And I'm going to do my iron and micronutrient video here coming up soon, and I'll do a liquid iron and micronutrients for the grass. But I want to use these granules of the Lilly Miller to really get this moss out of here and rake it out, and try to get the lawn to take over in these spots. So let's apply this stuff and see what happens. So the directions say to wet the moss first, and I'm going to use my old trusty garden watering can because I'm so far away from the house. My hose doesn't reach quite this far. It only reaches about halfway down this little area here. So I'm just going to walk around, wet this moss, and then we'll apply the moss out like a fertilizer. Take a look. Okay, we're going to dump this in just like a fertilizer into our broadcast spreader here. And the back of the bag says for the Scott's brand of broadcast spreaders to do a 4 or a 5, depending on how thick your moss infestation is. I'm going to set mine to a 4. So I've watered the moss, and now I'm going to apply these granules. So I think the point of watering it first is so the granules can stick to the moss, and then once that's done, then you water it in, and so it'll activate the killing of the moss, and it'll turn it black. Hopefully, I've read reviews where it said it happened within hours, but I'm expecting maybe overnight, maybe tomorrow we'll see some evidence of the black effect. And as soon as you notice that it's totally dead, you can then rake it out. This stuff is really fine particles, and it spreads wonderfully. Really small, and you get a ton of coverage per square yard, so that's a good positive. And look how thick this moss is over here. I mean, this is like really healthy and almost kind of fluffy. It's actually kind of pretty in some spots, but let's just see what we can do to try to promote this grass to fill in a little bit better. This area right here has looked pretty horrible the last few years, and it's really difficult, like I said, to get it to fill in because of these tree roots over here that are coming from this huge tree. But we're gonna try. And as you can see, it's getting hammered with sun now. So if we can get these spots right in here, just totally get this moss cleared out. See, these runners here can then hopefully take over. But you got to give the grass a chance, give it a chance, and you know, give it an environment that it wants to spread. So hopefully this will work. I'd like this area to be nice and full of grass instead of just ugly, kind of a wasteland area. This is what I call this area back here. It's kind of a wasteland. So let's wet this down, this area, and then we'll spread the granules and then water it in. Okay guys, so that's applied and watered in, and so now we're just kind of waiting and gonna see how long it takes for it to take effect. It could be overnight, it could be 3 or 5 days. We'll just have to wait and see. But as you can see here, this area right here is just, it's kind of a slope that goes from top down. And my house actually shades a good bit of it during the day, and not to mention just the trees that I have everywhere back here. But yeah, so just the damp, shady conditions. I don't have a whole lot of hope for this area, but the first area that I showed you, I'm really excited about because I think it can fill in. It might take a couple of years, but if I stay on top of it, the moss may try to come back, and I'll be ready because I have this big bag. I've only used about half of the bag, so if I see it start to grow again, I can just hit it with the Lilly Miller and keep it at bay and give that grass a good chance for it to fill in. Okay guys, here we are 4 days after the application of the Moss Out. And I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but the moss is substantially darker. That means it's working and working on dying. I thought it wouldn't take quite this long, but it appears it's going to take, you know, 5 to 7 days before you see significant kill of the moss. But look at this, where I stepped on it after I applied it. You can see the black areas. There's my footprint from 4 days ago. Looks like it just kind of accelerated the kill action because it compacted the granules right here where the moss is. But once it turns this kind of a dark color, we're going to try to rake some of this out to see if it can be raked out now, or if we still need to wait another few days. But thought that was interesting, and 4-day results are not great, but we are seeing some color response from the moss dying off, or beginning to die off. As you can see here, here's some moss that is in the stages of being killed, but you can see these black kind of areas where the granules stuck in there and it's killing what's there. But we want that black to spread. Here's a good area here that's gotten this dying off pretty quickly, but this area has gotten bare over the last couple years because I get some erosion coming off of this slope right here, and it just kind of feeds into the yard. But here you can see the rest of my yard, how good it looks. But these areas right in here, they get hit with shade and tree roots. As you can see the shade line, it's kind of funny. You can see the shade line right there and all the thin areas. So that's how centipede reacts to significant shade. You can see a little blacking of the granules, but overall just not doing a great job yet of turning it black, but it does have a color difference, so it looks like it is working, so that's a good thing. Take a look at this moss at kind of a short and firm raking motion. And I've got quite a pile here coming up, and I can still see some of the granules, even though I did water it in. But as you can see, this stuff is coming up pretty good. I don't think it would have done this without the product that I used, the Moss Out. it's going to loosen it up, and now you can see the soil, and hopefully this centipede here, you can see little strands of centipede right in here. Take a look at all this moss here just from 2 minutes of raking. Wow. Okay, here we are 5 days later after the Moss Out application, and I'm going to give this product probably a B for a review. There are some parts of the lawn that it worked well on, and others that just, it looks like I didn't do anything to it. So it's a little frustrating, a little disappointing, but we're only 5 days in. Maybe another 5 days pass and I'll see more kill action and more discoloration of the moss, and then I can rake it out a little bit better. But so it's kind of inconsistent results. I was hoping it'd be a whole lot easier to get this moss out of here, and I may just have to do a second application. I mean, these areas right here, I don't think it's going to adversely affect anything because this area has been so neglected for so long. I think if I do a second application, I should see better results, but however, that is a little disappointing that you have to do 2 applications on a little bit heavier moss-infested areas. So, just wanted to give my 2 cents on that. There are other products out there besides this one that I may try. I mean, I could always get like some kind of a dissolvable ferrous sulfate that I could spray on with a hand can, and maybe that would work better. I can try that too. But wanted to give a review of this Lilly Miller Moss Out. I think this is the first time I've tried this product, so just wanted to give you guys kind of an option to try if you wanted to. I believe it would work better with multiple applications, especially if you have really thick moss. Like a lot of my areas are pretty thick because it's never been treated, so maybe that's the issue. You know, even if you don't get a good moss killing action, you will get a green response from the iron because it's 10% ferrous sulfate. So that's about like throwing a bag of ironite down on your lawn. You're going to see a green response from that. So that is very good. I mean, Centipede loves iron. You get a really immediate green response within 2 or 3 days usually, if it's watered in. Centipede absolutely loves iron. So that is a positive that you can expect from this product. If you wanted to just use it as an iron supplement, you can. And any benefits of getting moss out will just be a bonus. If you wanted to use it like that, that's a good way to use it. But hope this review is helpful. And like I said, I'll probably give it a B. But y'all have a good day out there. I've got some more videos coming up on insecticides and fungicides and iron and micronutrients and all those types of good things. See y'all soon. Thanks for watching.